Merry Christmas, you wonderful people, and welcome back to the Day After podcast, where today we're talking about 1990s John Hughes written, Christopher Columbus directed film Home Alone. The first one. I'm here with Haley.
Hi.
And you gotta be more enthusiastic about that shit. My wife, we're gonna be clear because my wife has this fear that she's gonna come off as just the shittiest person on this channel. And she doesn't want to be, but I'll state your opinion and you can clarify any rough points.
Okay. I first saw this movie when I was 19. And I watched it with my sister and my brother-in-law. And we watched it at his request because he had seen this movie every single year since he was 4.
Wow.
And so you can imagine my kind of disconnect with it. I knew this movie existed, but I didn't watch it regularly. The Home Alone I watched was Home Alone 3.
Which is
and I didn't really even like that one.
Which is the cousin of this franchise, kind of?
Kind of.
Yeah.
Everybody agrees it's not very good, but everybody agrees that this one is just some holy pantheon of Christmas movies. And I don't get it.
Before we get into your taste, I have two things I want to say. One, I forgot the first one. The second one is I have a distaste for things that people watch out of tradition.
Yeah.
That actually suck. This one I can see it being a yearly tradition because it is just serviceable enough that there's no offensively bad things in it.
Yeah, and if you're wondering what Christmas movies I did grow up with, I grew up with all of the Rankin Bass and then the shitty Cartoon Network movies. See our other podcasts for more info.
We didn't intend to be doing nothing but Christmas podcasts.
Oh, but why not? So, yeah, can we dive into my biggest problem with this movie?
Please do.
Is fucking Kevin. McCauley Caulkin is a fine actor, but fucking Kevin. I know too many kids like Kevin. I was related to a couple of them. And oh my god, I absolutely hate almost every second he's on screen.
I understand he's precocious and irritating, and from a story point, a complete shitbag no.
Yeah, and I'm wondering how kids watching this movie see Kevin. Like, how do you not look at him and go, God, what a whiny little insufferable idiot.
Kids see the final 22 minutes and think that's cool. I agree. That's what I remember from this entire thing.
And that's kind of why I liked Home Alone 3 and why I think I watched it more is because most of Home Alone 3 is that.
Yes, I agree. It's really, but it when he's such an irredeemable prick at the beginning, and I understand
he's a whiny little shit.
He's a whiny little shit, and you get mad because of precocious. I get mad because I know that it's only got made because there's a market for when children act like this, and I wonder, was that a fad at the turn of the decade where it was really, dare I say, clever for kids to say adult things?
Yeah, and then this movie spends a long time, like a disgustingly long time, trying to get you laugh at Kevin doing adult things, including putting on men's deodorant and
twice.
Yes, and using aftershave and making the famous face. Going grocery shopping?
Is this toothbrush approved by the American Dental Association?
Isn't it funny that a kid's concerned about that?
Every fucking adult that's not part of the family is like, fuck off, kid.
Doing laundry, cooking dinner. This is after, by the way, he runs around the house like a fucking crazy person and just the worst time lapse.
My wife has this, not, I don't know if cringe is the right word, but you cannot look at him while he was mouthing the words to that fake crime show.
Oh yeah, there's two scenes I can't watch Kevin do. One is when he stares at the camera and goes, "I make my family disappear," with that smirk on his face. And the other one is the one you were just saying.
Fuck it. You guys give up? Oh, keep the change, you filthy animal.
Yeah, keep the change, you filthy animal. After he fucking terrifies the fucking shit out of that pizza boy.
What the fucking bit? Just contextualize the shit that is happening. We live in a world because they spend a long time going over Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern's character's method in terms of, yes, they are Looney Tunes burglars, but they have a really laid out method.
Yeah, and there's like, it's cool as a kid to see that and be like, oh, this is what robbers do, while having like having enough planning behind it that as an adult you don't call bullshit immediately like you do in the third
Well,
one.
how much realism do you want in your Christmas movie? That's not directed at you. It's just a problem.
Well, but we'll get to Joe Pesci and the other guy here in just a second. But I do want to say that I don't think it's Kevin's fault that he's a shitbag because his family sucks.
It definitely becomes a Hatfields and McCoys. Like, nobody knows who started this shit, but you're both... Yes, you're a prick, but the family hasn't been doing you any favors.
Yeah. So the mom is kind of an idiot. I get we're supposed to sympathize with her, but every time she's like, "Oh, I'm a bad mother. Oh, I'm so terrible." Like, yeah.
Yeah.
The dad's boring. I think he has what 5 lines.
John Hurd plays the. God, I'm so sorry for John Hurd. He plays the dad in this movie, and when he died a few years ago, he was well known for this is his most famous credit, was being the dad in Home Alone.
Yeah, and all of his siblings and his cousins treat him like shit because he acts like shit.
Yeah,
and it's just this never-ending cycle. And he seems to be one of these kids, by the way, that he knows that if he whines and complains enough and is enough of a bother, his parents will just do it for him.
There's a moment,
and that's heavily implied by his siblings.
And there are moments when like it's like, get upstairs. We are upstairs, you dummy. As a non-parent that I am, my gut was still like fucking backhand.
Which you can't do to kids.
This
might be why we don't have kids.
Yeah, but like that is like, was there anybody in the audience that was like, oh, take that back?
Yeah, and I'm just like, what kids watching this movie, families watching this movie in 1990, what is their reaction? And well, whatever it is that this movie is trying to make me feel or capture, I definitely don't get.
Yes, he turns around for a bit. That doesn't mean that I enjoy his presence.
Well, yeah, and he's like, oh, I actually miss my family. But that's not ever really explained. It's just told in a couple lines.
Yeah.
So enough shitting on it. Let's get to the 2 best parts of this movie, one of which is Joe Pesci and his friend.
And the other... Holy shit! The other one is Daniel Stern.
I'm sorry, I will never remember Daniel Stern's name.
You're gonna shit on my boy.
I'm just shitting on him, I just don't remember his name.
Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern play Looney Tunes robbers in a movie that's going out of its way to be realistic. It is a breath of fresh air to see 2 characters that just know what movie they're in.
Yeah, John put that very well. These 2 seem to be the only ones that know what movie they're trying to sell.
And when a kid goes back and shows his kids the movies he watched as a kid, this is what he's going to be thinking of.
Yeah, and so they definitely have the most staying power, and they're the most, they're what you remember once you leave this movie, mostly because the rest of this movie is goddamn fucking boring. It's following the mom trying to get back home and following Kevin being an adult.
Quite a bit of the family do it. It's okay. But Joe and Daniel held number one. This has been said by many people way funnier than me. Joe Pesci is trying his damnedest not to swear in a kid's Christmas movie.
They do drop a lot of hells and asses. But never an F-bomb.
Joe, I want to introduce you guys to one of my favorite TV tropes. It's called Angrish. It's when you can't swear, so when a character's mad, they go, that's what Joe Pesci is doing, because he was in a lot of mob movies.
Yes.
And when he
when he gets his hand fucking burnt on the monogram door handle. God, this family's rich.
We're just casually trashing John Hurd's character for being rich as hell.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Them in the makeup department together sold a lot of really, like, cringy and painful looking gags that paid off.
And people forget, like, people remember the stuff from this movie. I think people forget though that is the last 20 minutes of the movie.
It's quite a small,
like, that's a TV episode.
That's not even a TV episode. But
not
you're
even.
Right.
But I'm just like, what the best part of it, you can't. It has the up problem. You can't confuse this movie for the last 20 minutes of this movie.
It's quite a bit of setup, and there are characters that like kind of know what tone they're going for, like Uncle Frank and
John Candy,
and Buzz mainly.
Yeah.
Because as we segue into the other really good part of this movie, Buzz is such a bullshitter.
Yes.
And I mean that because when he and McCauley and the other boy are like looking out the window at old man Withers or whatever.
Yeah.
Just looking at him and going, "What's that? That's where he keeps his bodies. He might have killed a guy." And he doesn't give a shit if what he's saying is made up.
Yeah, he's every like preteen / teenager.
But we meet this scary guy whose name escapes me. He's played by a wonderful actor who is likely not with us anymore, given that this movie is 30 years old. Well, at first he's a spooky guy. You meet him a couple times, and his signature.
He's just like spreading salt.
Very
on the
large
sidewalk.
rubber boots that you see before any other part of him. That's good character and design and wardrobe. But as my wife looks up the guy's name,
sorry,
I'm going to describe what is a bafflingly out of character scene for the entire movie. What it is Kevin. Let's be fair. Walking into a church while they're during a choir practice and having that man sit down next to you and have a really heart-to-heart discussion regarding, what Christmas is, and how it's
Robert's Blossom, who plays Marley.
Marley is the name of the guy?
Is that right?
I don't know. When you take it up, we'll figure it out later. That's the point.
Yeah,
That's the point of editing. But they have this heart-to-heart talk about family and what it means to sometimes be upset at your family in a show that is like it's a scene that's aggressively trying not to be Home Alone.
Yeah, it's so out of place, and what I mean, it's so good. And Kevin stops being a shithead for just this one scene and talks to this like scary, creepy guy. And it's really neat to see this connection between this old man who has actual adult problems and comparing and contrasting them with Kevin's own issues with his family, which I think is really heartfelt and sends a really nice message.
That's really good, and I'm really happy for that old man to the point where the cute moment at the end after he's reunited with his parents, and the guy goes, "Yes, thank you," as he's hugging his granddaughter. I'm so fucking cute. Why couldn't... And you said it. Why couldn't that be that movie?
Yeah, that scene deserved a better movie.
It did.
That scene deserved a better movie. It's so weird
because we transitioned from that really good church scene into
into zany, wacky Looney Tunes
but before
slapstick.
that, it's an epic... We brighten up the mix of my favorite Christmas song. and it's like it's a going to war montage. We open up the set piece that is Kevin's battle plans that McCauley Caulkin drew himself.
Nice.
This is really cool. There's a lot of really cool behind the scenes stuff. Just to give a little bit more of a positive sandwich before we go out, I do want to share a couple of my fun little facts about this that I've if that's okay.
Yeah.
The Georgian house, which you really admire. It's a very pretty looking house.
Yes.
The exteriors and the interiors are two different locations because they love that Georgian front house.
Yes.
But the people in there would not allow them to film inside their house.
Of course not.
So this movie was strapped for cash to hell and back. Christopher Columbus, I don't think, was a big name yet. I'm not a Christopher Columbus fan. I can't talk about that. So they had an abandoned high school in which they found the pool in the high school and built several stories of house in the empty pool.
Oh, neat.
Which allowed them to do the Wet Bandits scenes.
Okay.
And it was a giant undertaking. You had to composite those with the outside shots.
Yeah.
But then you have to cut corners by having really shitty speed montages.
Yeah.
All right, that's the end of my story.
Oh, sorry, I thought you had more.
Nope, just two.
You can see stunt people admire this movie. Like, this movie made the phrase "home aloneing."
Yeah. Okay. No, it continues. Stunt actors.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna share that.
Yeah, stunt actors. This movie popularized in the stunt community the act of slipping on something, your legs going over your head and landing on your back so it looks painful. Yeah. To the point where that's now called home aloneing in the stunt community.
Which I'm assuming in stunt performing is not that painful.
Oh no, it probably know a way to land safely. Yeah. But I don't know my own spine.
Right, exactly.
To save also money on this fucking weird movie, they're like, we should get John Williams. We are never going to be able to afford John Williams. We'll just ask him. And he's like, yeah, sure, man. He did a discount, I think. And then they asked John Candy, and John Candy was a huge property back then. And they said, John Candy, just ask him.
Will you talk about the time that you left your 6-year-old in the funeral parlor?
He goes, "I love to. Me and my van down by the river." I really hope that's the correct person. But he's like, "We're never going to be able to afford John Candy. Just ask him." He's like, "Yeah, I'll do a freebie. I'm here for one day, but I'll do it."
Yeah, that's why he's in so few scenes. But
what? It's just the stars aligned to make this movie, I guess.
Yeah, you know, I respect John Hughes, I respect Christopher Columbus, I respect all the actors involved, but I don't understand why people treat this as like a pinnacle Christmas movie, something that you have to sit down and watch every single year, and I don't get it. And my other family's Christmas movie was National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, which has its own problems.
Oh.
But it's this and The Christmas Story that I didn't see when I was a kid, and I only watched them as an adult, and I don't really get it. There's something in this childhood whimsy that I'm not getting, but I like a crazy giant Yeti monster and Yukon Cornelius licking his ass.
Don't do that to me. Guys, that is been Wild episode 3 of our surprise little sub show where we talk about Christmas movies on the Day After podcast. Join us in 1 week for a surprise 4th episode that I did not know about until earlier today. I hope you've been enjoying it. I hope you guys have been having a fantastic holiday season. No robbers, no rapers.
Yes.
I hope Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern come to your house with good intentions.
Yes, and if not, I hope some little 8-year-old kid of yours is going to protect you with micro machines.